Hi everyone, Ivan is here, and this is my first game ever implemented in a Godot. I never ever touched that before because I was thinking that Godot it's some kind of easy game engine for the indie game devs, but who am I? Of course I am an indie game dev, but I've been quite arrogant and use only Unreal Engine because it's a AAA game, the beautiful graphics, a lot of features in it, and that's why I've been using the Unreal Engine. And of course I try to think big and implement some big games, but there is a really nice thing in the simplicity. The simple games, they're quite nice. Even the 2D games, they're pretty cool, and using some kind of engines like Godot, so cool. In the beginning of your game development career, if you're considering to be a game developer. But I'm mostly programming the games for my private projects. I like it. It's really cool to implement some kind of simple logic in your game. And here in the Godot, you have a brilliant game editor with a nice language. And this Godot script, I mostly implemented this game in the Godot script. In this video, I'm following the tutorial from the beginning, tutorial from the Godot page, my first 2D game in the Godot. And you will see how I'm following this tutorial step by step, and I encountered some errors. You will see how I'm trying to solve all of them. I'm implementing this game with a couple of features outside of this tutorial, but I think it will be quite helpful, or maybe not helpful, but quite exciteful to see what is possible to implement and how easy it is, because I never ever touched that, but it's logically organized, that what they're telling in this tutorial, what I learned from this tutorial helped me to use my knowledge and create some more of it. That's how cool is it? I learned a lot of things from this tutorial, and I hope this video helped you to learn a lot of things from this tutorial. Sorry for this huge introduction. This is my first video with the webcam, but I will be continue speaking in this tutorial. I will be speaking without the webcam because I got it a little bit later, and I'm recording that after I finished this this tutorial. So sorry for that, and enjoy. If you will read it through, it contains a couple of steps how to build your first game, and the prerequisites. They ask you to follow the getting started, just to get used to Godot style and understand the structure of the Godot. It really helps you in the beginning because they're explaining the basics that you have to know. So you have to download these Dodge assets. Here we go, let's get started. Then download the assets. We have the arts and fonts. I already seen it. Dodge assets, fonts. We have only one font, and art. We have a couple of arts that we'll be using for our animation, probably, I think, or some kind of player state. I'm going to call it Dodge Scripts. Then I'm going to change the directory, create and edit. Just adjusted a little bit the window sizes. Now it looks a little bit better. You have to change the screen size, the screen resolution. Then go window and change 480 to 720. Okay, kind of a mobile game. Change the mode to 2D and aspect ratio to keep. You're going to build 3 independent scenes: player, mob, and hood, and then we'll combine all of them in one main scene. That's great. Art and fonts. Open our folder, So here we have some arts. Select all of them. Nah, it's not there. No problem. Select them here. Move in arts. Okay, so they're in arts. The same thing I'm going to do with the font. Actually, have only one font. No. Okay. Copy one more time. No. For some reasons it's failed to copy this font a couple of times, but now it's fine. So now it's there. And it's done. That's what we have to do for this. So next. Now the interesting part, I'm going to create the player scene. For that I have to add the other node to select some area 2D. Then change the name area 2D to player. Okay, then click here to make sure the object's children are not selectable. Okay, we'll see how it works. Then let's save this scene. Then let's add the animated sprite node. This node will handle the appearance and animation for our player. Okay, let's see how it works. How I understand, we create the scenes to use them like instances in our main module. Now, not the module, sorry, in the main scene, let's speak in the Godot language. We are creating a small scenes to combine them in the one big scene. And in our case, this big scene will be the main scene. Then we have player and HUD and enemy or creep, how we call it, I don't know, I forgot. But anyway, it's kind of a objects or the scenes. I like this idea, this concept. Oh, okay, I see. It says that we have this warning sign. We don't have a proper sprite frames to use them in animation. Okay, fine. I was thinking that you put all of your images inside of this component, but now we have to build that kind of the hierarchy with that. It's unusual, but I think I will get used to. So let's add this sprite frames. No? Right. Ah, okay. I understand that in the wrong way. I have to create a resource. And this resource, new resource, okay. Sprite frames. This is our resource, right? We can create them in this way, or how we can do that. Here we have resource. If I click the one more time, I have here the resource or just the property of this node like frames. And if I click on the frames, new sprite frames. Okay, I clicked the one more time there and some editor has appeared. Okay, and this editor appeared in the bottom here when I clicked on it one more time. And here we have a list of animations. Now they're saying let's rename it to walk and create one more animation and name it like up. They're in the art folder. Okay, let's check it out. Drag and drop. Yes, drag and drop. And for walk, we have the walk first and walk second. It's quite hard to spot, but now I see that we have a frame here. That frame shows our screen size. And they're saying here that I have to change the size So probably the scale under the transformation properties is a transformation matrix, or here the vector. Then I'm going to change it to a half smaller. Now let's set the collision. And our collision will be a child node, and the name for that capsule. Collision shape. So now we have a collision shape, and here we can change that to the capsule. Zoom in and set the proper size. Okay, now I finished with resizing and aligning my collision shape. Now we have a check. Then on my side it looks like they do. So that's it for this part of this tutorial. So click next. Coding the player. And right now we are right about to writing some code. And I especially like it because I am a developer, I'm a programmer. There is a couple of ways which you can use to write the code for your Godot game. And first of all, this is a C++ because Godot written in C++. Then you can use the C#. It's such a nice language for the games, and it's broadly used in Unity game engine. And the third one, the Godot script. And the Godot script, that's quite nice, simple language, something between Lua, Python. It looks nice. It looks simple. That's the most important part. They're simple and quite powerful. Select our player, and here we have this icon, attach new or existing script to the selected node. So click on it and create. Now we created our script and clean it up. It's good if you dive in with the Godot a little bit. If you read this couple of articles, they're pretty simple, but it's definitely worth it at least to understand that you don't have a class word here, but all of these scripts, they actually are classes. Then I clean it up a little bit code here and then continue. Export variable. Export means that we can set this variable in the editor, not from the code, but from outside. We can check, we can select the player and set somewhere here in the properties. That's what the export does. Then continue. Yeah, that's explained what the export keyword does. Yeah, you see? Then we can set this speed here, the speed 400. That looks cool. You can control via the parameters, we can control the speed of this player. So if we'll drag the player on the main scene later, you will easily configure the speed for your player. Okay, we need a couple of inputs. So for that, go project settings, and here we have to add move right. We added a label, and to this label we are going to add, I'm going to add a key. I'm going to press right. So now I pinned my right button, my right arrow key to this label, and it helps you to control your inputs if you're using, for example, the joystick, and if you're going to build your game for the PlayStation. And then you'll put more stuff here, so maybe stick right and keyboard right, and then in the code you'll be used just this label, move right. When you run the game, all of your keys and actions, they will be bound to this label. That's very convenient, and the same technology, the same way you can do in Unity and Unreal Engine. So it's kind of a industry standard. Okay, that's it. I added the 4 labels: move right, move left, move up, and move down. That's it. Oh, I definitely missed this one. You have to set the ready command, and here the screen size equals the get viewport rectangle. No, rectangle, please. Size. So the player size. Ah, no, the player size. This variable equals the viewport size. Okay, clear. We'll see why do we need it later, probably. Scroll down. Now we're going to map some inputs. Let's go and do this and implement the process command. And the process will be invoked for the each frame. Then you will ask me why I'm typing all of this manually. I'm typing this manually because it helps me to memorize everything what I'm typing in. And I like it. I like the typing. I have a good keyboard. And that's not the only one reason. No. Not for sure. The main reason I really believe that it helps me to memorize everything what I'm typing in. And I'm learning the new languages, the Rust, Java. I learned that a lot of years ago, but I've been typing every single command by my keyboard without any copy paste, because I think copy paste is quite dumb. You copy pasted some code and then you run and trying to understand how does it work, but when you're typing, it's kind of you're consuming that line by line if you're thinking. And when I'm typing, I'm trying to think about it, like input is action pressed. So we have in a input we have some function is action pressed. Then we can provide a label that we created before. They provided such a nice link. I've been surprised that the Godot explained the article about vector math. That's such an amazing idea, because I was thinking these links brings me directly to some Wikipedia page, but not. They have this article. And it's quite easy to understand that y goes down. So if you're going to move from 0 to here, 4, 3. So I'm moving 1, 2, 3. You have to +1, +1, +1. And if you're moving up, this is -1, -1, -1. The x, I think it's quite obvious. Velocity length, because the velocity is a vector, and the vector contains two values. In our case, the x and y, but it means not just a point, it means a direction. And in our case, if you have a minus x, for example, if your x equals -1, your direction from 0 to 1. If your x equals 1, your direction from 0 to 1. And all of them, in all of these cases, the length is 1. That's why we are checking that we have something there. If it's so, that's all the time will be equals something more than 1. And here, if you're moving somewhere, if some buttons are pressed, so we are moving somewhere, and for that case, we are using our animation. This $sign does the same thing. If I put to do the sprite, for example, equals get node and animate that sprite. And this $sign is a shortcut for this long command, for this actually command. So we don't need it, you just need to specify it with a $sign here. Wow, such a cool idea to do that. I like how it looks like. They explain everything brilliantly here in a documentation. Well, I like it. The good documentation all the time is a brilliant idea to provide support your tool, and they did a great job here. Now we are setting up the real movements. First of all, multiplied our velocity with the speed, and the speed equals 400. And then we normalized. Normalized means that all the time a vector equals to 1, no more 1. So here we multiply that with the speed, then play the animation. And here we set the real movement, and velocity brings the direction up, left, right, or down. And we multiply, and it's already multiplied to the speed, so it's not the one, but it's equals to the speed, and speed we can control with the parameters in our editor later. And here we multiply that with the delta, and delta we have here in parameters our process function, and delta equals the number from 0 to 1. Mostly this helps you to animate something, or to move around or animate independently from your frame rate. I think you can read it in a documentation later. I think they explained it somewhere here. Maybe yes. They explained it by quite shortly here. What does it do? But yeah, it's quite simple thing from 0 to 1, because if your computer is powerful enough, you can rendering that quite fast, or if it's too slow, you can't rendering too fast, and your animation will be very, very slow and not constant. But with the delta time, you can have the constant animation. That's really good. And keep in mind, Godot script works with these indentations, with these spaces or tabulations, whatever you call it, but it's quite important for the language to understand where your code block ends on. And for this else, the code block ends just right here. And then when you broke this indentation and start writing here, this relates to this function, not for the else block. And if you did something like that, that's a wrong one. That's a not correct behavior. You have to change it back like this. And let's try it out. To run this scene, we have to click here, the play scene, or I'm going to press F6. Okay, I'm using my arrow keys and I'm moving around. Cool, I like how simple it is. It's really simple, and the language is really simple. And we immediately see the result. And animation works perfectly. Yes, we have only 2 frames, but it works and it's nice. This simplicity, this is smart, especially for the new developers. And in this code block, we will set the proper direction, because if I run it, yep, I have this animation only in the bottom, but if I'm moving down, I want to see that here and somewhere in the up and above of my character. When I'm moving right, I want to see that on the left side, on somewhere here. But when I'm moving left, I want to see somewhere here. I realized this is not the animation, this is animated. That's it. The documentation says that yeah, if you don't know how it works, especially at this moment, why we have that here. If you have a developer's background, you will understand it easily, but actually this is a Boolean variable and this is expression, and what we can do, we can use this if-else statements, but we don't need it because this expression returns exactly true or false that we need. So if the x is lower than 0, so please set true, but it's already true here. So I just directly set this flip horizontally, set it directly here. Okay, I'm going to play the one more time. Okay, it moves legs down or up. We're moving left or right. The eye changed the position, so right, left, right, left. Such a cool idea. What's the next? The tutorial says to hide the player in the beginning of the game. Okay, hide. You hide it immediately if you run it. No player here. And we are going to prepare for the collisions. And for that, if the enemy somehow hits us, then we are going to use the signals to deliver the damage to the user. Okay, we're going to create a signal on the top. Now we have here under the nodes tab, we have this hit signal. Cool. Okay, and because we are going to track the collision with our enemies, I'm going to connect with the function body entered. This one. Connect. If our body somehow collided with the enemy, we hide our character, emit signal, and emit the signal hit, and we disable our collisions, right? We set the deferred mode, so it's something means like turn it off, I assume. Yes, it disables the player collision. And we need to disable it to stop triggering this a lot of signals. I'm going to reset the player with the command start. And translate the position there. Set our position equals this position. Then show our player. And collision shape 2D, disable it false. So we'll turn on our collisions. Fine. So that's it for the script. We have a couple variables, one signal, then we have the ready function. When we set this variable with the size of the screen, then we'll hide our character, our player in the beginning of the game, and then we are processing a couple of inputs, 4 of them, right, left, down, up, then set some velocity, play the animation, then change the position, the real movement here, then use the different direction for the animation, and we are flipping our animation when we are moving up or down. Cool. Then when the player collides with some enemies, we emit the hit, disable collision, and hide. Or yeah, and then we implemented the function start to reset. That's it for the player. Creating the enemy. We have finalized our player script, then we have to implement the enemy. So let's do that. And we're going to use the animated script, the same like here, then collision shape and visibility notify 2D. I have no idea what is that, but we already know what is the animated script and collision shape 2D, and what is the rigid body 2D. We know that helps us with animation. Not here, create new node. No. We have to create a new scene. We have a new scene, right? And other node, rigid body 2D. Okay, adding the rigid body 2D. Name it mob. Okay, let's change a few things in the inspector. A scale, because our game in the vertical side, so we can move up and down. We don't need to fall down with the gravity in a 2D world. So we'll turn off the gravity, so 0. Oh no. Let's turn off the collision, enemies with each other. And then animated script. Okay, we have a couple of animations: fly, swim, walk. Swimming, walking, flying. Okay, pretty much clear. So here I have a phrase source, right? So new, yeah, sprite frames, and then click one more time. And now we're here. We have the animation default, but I'm going to change it. Fly. First and second, just a simple drag and drop. It feels really easy and smooth, and I really like how the UI works. It's so responsive. Okay, playing on. Have to change this parameter to on. Then saves the scene. Okay, scene, save scene. Mob. Okay. Now that's That's it, so I have to add something more. Okay, probably they skip this part, right? Yeah, as a player to see any other shape. Yeah, of course. We can't do that. It's very simple. Now, place capsule. Collision shape. Oh, yeah. Show me how it look like. Oh, no, thanks. It's a little bit difficult to do that properly, but let's do something like that. Okay, let's configure the collision. Okay, I can rotate it, but I can rotate, I can do that here, but I can click in the collision shape properties, transform, and here I have a rotation degrees, right? Okay. Something like that. Perfect form, I think. Change the animation to fly. Yeah, something right about it. Walk. That's pretty fine for the walk. Finalize that with this collision shape. Then let's attach the one more script. What the name for that? Mob. Okay, it's pretty logical. Great. Clean up a little bit. It extends the rigid body. In our case, it extends the rigid body too. Then look at the rest of the script and ready play. They will be different. The enemies will be, they will be differ by the animation type, not by sprite. Yeah, actually by the animated sprite, but with the animation. Okay, cool. Probably I will learn the random command now. Animated sprite. Okay, now we have the animation names. Now we're going to randomly choose one of them. Now they're explaining that in this field we'll get this stuff, the walk, swim, fly. I can run, I think, right? Yeah. We have the error, the process function. Yeah, okay. Now it's somewhere here, but I'm sure that it's, I can't do that. Is it resized? Yes, it's resized. Yeah, random animation. I really hope that we have some random. Let's try to see what is inside of these mob types. Print mob types. Okay, do you see that we have fly, swim, walk? And then randomly select the proper animation. I think you can print the current animation. Run. The current is walk. One more time. The current again is walk. It feels like something wrong with that. Okay, random doesn't work. What is inside of this variable? 10, for example. 0. And one more time, 0. It selects the first one. It doesn't work. The same number all the time. Okay, it's quite weird random. I'll check later. I think I invoke, when I called that function 2 times, it returned 2 different values. It works, but probably it's based on something like time since the game begins, and because we are just have only one scene with only one command ready that happens, and it contains all the time the same value. Probably it's something like a timestamp since the beginning of the game. Do you see that the first one is this, then this? What if I invoke that even one more time, like 3 times? And if my theory is right, it will be the lowest, the middle, and the highest value. Some kind of. Okay, I think it definitely a timestamp or something like that. Okay, removed this random stuff. Then select the node. Then here click on in the scene, select your root. Then click in the inspector, select the node tab, and here we have to bin the function to delete our mob. When the mob is leaving the screen, we have to call this callback and remove it. Just delete it forever, because if you will not delete it, it will be traveling all the time outside of your screen forever, and your PC is still handling and counting the values for all of these actors, but I think it's too much. That's why we are going to delete them, and we have to add one more here, the visibility notifier 2D. You will ask me how I understand it. Here states that we have to choose some command from this, some actions. And this function is a screen exited. If you touch this component, this node, select this, and here, and then the nodes tab, we have this screen entered and screen exited. So click exited. Now we're going to connect it to our mob, connect. Now we're here. So Q3. We can check what it does and use this search helper and check what this function does for us. Okay, this just this function deletes our object and all child nodes. Yeah, moving further,